With 1 in 7 British species at risk of extinction, our precious wildlife has never needed our help more. The great news is that as gardeners, there is so much we can do. Together, the UK's estimated 24 million gardens could be one huge nature reserve, and there's no need to restrict yourselves to one garden or wild area either. Wildlife can easily be considered within all your activities. And by getting your community involved in protecting nature, you could inspire a whole new generation of gardeners. Here are 5 ways to make your community more wildlife friendly. Make as many habitats or places for animals to shelter and live as possible. There are 6 elements to think about: grass, hedges, wood, water, stone and soil, and sun and shade. If you manage grassed areas, vary the mowing to create both long and short grass. These support different types of insects. Think about letting so-called weeds such as dandelions and clover flower, or go the full hog and sow a wildflower meadow. Where possible, use living plants as screens or boundaries. These work as green corridors for wildlife, as well as being good spots for hedgehogs to forage, birds to raise their young, and bumblebees to nest at the base. Hedges provide lots of other services too, such as helping to reduce flood risk and capture airborne pollution. Try to find a space for dead wood, be it a log pile or log wall, dead hedge, or simply allowing some dead timber to remain in old trees. But do get them checked out if you're uncertain. Home to woodlice, millipedes and ground beetles, dead wood is as valuable as living. Do you have a water habitat such as a pond, bog garden or stream? Even small container ponds are likely to be visited by frogs and pond skaters, as well as offering a source of drinking water for birds. Patches of bare soil give solitary mining bees a place to nest and spiders to hunt. And a sunny bank, stone wall or perhaps a gravel garden is a perfect basking spot for butterflies and, if you're lucky, lizards too. Aim for a combination of sun and shade to appeal to a wide range of species. If shade is lacking, how about starting a tree planting project or using climbers over a pergola to create some quick cover? Or if your community space has some dark, overgrown areas, how about a day of clearing and pruning to create some sunny pockets?
I love the idea of being in the garden and be able to help the whole myriad of life form in that garden, from the plant life to the hedgehog that will be eating that slug, to the aphid which will be merrily sapping the juice from your prize roses, but yep, then the ladybird will come along and take and swipe it out. This is the ecosystem that we need to protect, and there are many, many ways that we can do this, and as a community we can learn so much from each other.
Sometimes a human mate shelter is just what a pair of nesting birds or a wild bee is looking for. Think about the best spots in your community for bird and bat boxes, bird feeders and bug hotels for insects, which everything else relies on. So, which artificial homes and feeders are worth putting out for local wildlife? Decide which birds you would like to provide for with boxes and where there are suitable fixing sites. If your neighbourhood has a wooded area or large trees, try a tawny owl box. If there are taller buildings such as a church or flats, put up boxes for swifts, which are in decline in Britain. Blue tits, great tits and robins regularly use artificial nests too. Several species of bat, including the pipistrelle, will make use of bat boxes, often using different boxes at different times of the year, a winter hibernating site or a summer roost or nursery. Hedgehog houses work well where hedgehogs are present, though you may find they're just as happy tucked up in a big leaf pile. Feeding boxes with narrow entrances can help make sure the hogs, not local cats and foxes, get the food. Make your own frog or toad house from an upturned broken plant pot rather than buying new. Reptiles don't need any artificial homes. A stone cairn will give lizards a hideout, while an open compost heap is often all a grass snake will need to lay her eggs in. Not all bees favour human-made accommodation, but bee hotels designed for solitary bees have a high success rate. They can be bought or made by drilling holes of varying sizes into a block of wood. Position bee hotels in a nice sunny spot. A bug hotel is a fun project to do with your community and can put materials such as old pallets, bricks, sticks and even old plant stems to good use. Invertebrates such as lacewings, earwigs and ladybirds may be just as likely to be found sheltering in sheds, walls or borders, but it's a great way to inspire action for these often overlooked species.
I think for me there's always been a link between wildlife and gardening, that you can in a sense create your own nature reserve in your backyard and you can see the most amazing things there, woodpeckers, frogs, things like that, that you wouldn't see usually. And it's that rewarding feeling that you've brought them here, that you've given them a home.
When choosing your plants, have a think what they offer for wildlife. The more diverse our plantings are, the more species of wildlife they're likely to cater for. Do a checklist of your planted areas. Do you have grasses and ferns, bulbs and perennials, shrubs and trees, deciduous and evergreens? Is there a good mix of flower shapes, from flat daisy or cow parsley type flowers good for hoverflies, to longer tubular flowers such as buddleia, salvia or foxgloves, which attract butterflies and bumblebees? Do your borders have something in flower each season? Mahonia or winter flowering honeysuckle and crocus are good sources of nectar and pollen in late winter. And flowering ivy, single flowered dahlias and verbena help cover autumn into the first frost. Don't forget that there are usually pollinator friendly choices to be made, even if you're using seasonal bedding. Wallflowers, Calibrachoa, cosmos, snapdragons and single-flowered French marigolds or zinnias are all excellent for bees. Experiment with new things too. Bird's foot trefoil and nasturtiums make good substitutes for pelargoniums and petunias in tubs and hanging baskets. Garden plants can provide a 3-course menu for wildlife in your neighbourhood. Look up those which are good larval food plants for butterflies and moth, planting these in larger drifts. Flowering plants can offer protein-rich pollen and often sugar-rich nectar. And then of course are the plants with berries, hips, seeds, nuts or fruits, which help get wildlife through the winter months. Planting doesn't have to stop at ground level. What opportunities are there to green up walls and roofs? Community bike sheds and bin stores can be turned from eyesores into attractive new wildlife homes, just by adding some climbers, a green wall or a green roof to the top. Are there spaces in your community that lend themselves to planting wildflowers or British native trees and shrubs? Work with a local botanist to see if there are wildflowers of local importance you can help conserve. But wildlife can be supported by garden plants too. Findings from the RHS Plants for Bugs research has shown that while the greatest abundance of invertebrates will be supported by British native and Northern Hemisphere plants, Southern Hemisphere exotics can help extend the flowering season. Regardless of where plants originate, the more flowers you plant, the more pollinators you'll get. And the more dense the vegetation is, the more of all the other invertebrates it will support. Create an annual calendar of activity for your gardens and green spaces that makes the most opportunities for wildlife in each season. Here are some things to think about. From spring through summer, play around with different mowing frequencies in grassed areas. Discover where there are patches of self-heal, daisies or clover that are worth allowing to flower between cuts. Long grass will need at least one cut in summer, but to reduce wildlife disturbance, you could choose a small area each year to leave completely uncut. During summer, deadhead flowers such as single dahlias and English marigolds to help prolong this flowering for bees and other insects. But think about leaving some to go on to set seed for finches and berries and fruits for thrushes and voles. Autumn is the traditional time to cut back flower borders to ground level. But we now recognise how valuable seed heads and standing dead plant stems are to garden wildlife as cover over winter. So delay this task until late winter or even early spring if you can. Spring is also a great time of year to mulch beds with garden compost, bark or leaf mould, which helps keep soils healthy and teeming with life. Avoid cutting hedges during bird nesting season, which runs from March to September. Avoid pesticide use and remember that a healthy ecosystem needs its leaf eaters such as caterpillars and aphids if it's to be bursting with butterflies and birds. People now recognise that there is a biodiversity crisis, and for many, helping wildlife makes gardening much more exciting. Why not get your community on board with activities such as the following? Making hedgehog highways through gardens or building bug hotels. Organising wildlife walks and talks to inspire and educate people about nature on your doorstep. This could also be a great chance to join up with other groups such as your local wildlife trust or schools or universities. Get involved with wildlife surveys such as the RSPB Big Garden Birdwatch or Bumblebee Conservation Trust Bee Walk to understand the difference you are making and contribute to national records. And don't forget the power of good signage to tell people about what you are doing and why. You might also find it helps recruit more volunteers and positive action for wildlife in your neighbourhood.
To encourage wildlife as part of our Britain in Bloom activities, we do a whole range of projects and things with lots and lots of children, right through from nursery age, right up to university students. We make bird boxes and bat boxes, we improve habitats, we've planted wildflower meadows, we've done all kinds of projects to improve the environment wherever we can, and also to improve their knowledge and appreciation of wildlife, which is a big part of it really.
They absolutely love being outside. Anything, whether it's in winter, if it's snowing, if it's raining, the children absolutely love it. We feel that it's really important that they get involved and they build up an understanding of the natural world, and also understand that we can come together as a community and just to appreciate the natural world that we've been given really.
Hopefully that has given you a few ideas for supporting wildlife in your patch, and together we can make our gardens, parks and communities home for nature.